A month or so after I got to Bangkok, I decided I had to settle down. In order to do that, I had to do 3 things. First of all, I had to learn to speak some Thai. Second of all, I needed a woman. And last, I needed a place to live. Well, step 1 was easy. I was walking along Sukhumvit one morning, and I saw this weird-looking school with a very steep stairway that led up to the school on the 2nd floor. They said they taught Thai to foreigners. I insisted on getting lessons personally from the owner of the school. She was a good teacher, and I liked her a lot. Her name was Nim. Next was step 2, the woman. To that end, I didn't trust my own judgment about women, so when my daughter Emily, who was about 22 at the time, came to visit me for about a week, I put the question to her, what should I do about a woman? Now at that time, I happened to be sitting with her in the school, and she looked around at all of these antiques, all of these beautiful things in the school, and she said, why don't you marry Nim, the owner of the school? Number 1, she's rich. Number 2, she's smart. And number 3, she has great taste. Look at this stuff. Well, okay, I thought I'll think about that when I'm taking my Thai lessons. So after a while, I got to know Nim pretty well, and we did things together, like she taught me a little bit about cooking at her apartment a few blocks away. Well, one thing led to another, and sure enough, about a year later, we were married. Now we come to problem number 3, because by that time I was still living in a hotel. Well, I moved into the apartment, which I actually really liked a lot, but it had some problems. There was a big tree outside the window and snakes were always coming in. There was also an encampment of upcountry people who lived right underneath our window who played the guitar, mainly the American song Country Road, until about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning on weekends. And then one day, Nim found an ad in the newspaper, and she said, Kun Dick, I found a great piece of land. It's out on Ekamai, a couple of miles away from here in this nice suburb. So we took a taxi out there, and we looked at this little piece of land. It happened to be a guy's front yard. He was going bankrupt, and he was going to lose his house, so he decided to sell his front yard. That's when she told me about these dreams that she kept having. And the dreams were almost always about living back in the south of Thailand, in her village where, as a child, she had been a typical rice farmer's daughter. She had a mother and a father who worked most of the time. The father was a bit of a hard nose, and even today, if you see the two of them together, you can tell that there's a little bit of history here. But the champion of this story was Nim's grandmother, who took care of her when her parents were working in the rice paddies, and although illiterate herself, had told her many, many folk tales. That voice, now long silent, was replaced by books and by school. But grandmother's house, now like grandmother herself, long gone, was the focus of Nim's dream, and that became the subject of my little sketches. And I asked her brother, who was quite a good artist, to make a little sketch on a napkin of the house. From there, with the computer, I made a little design and fit it on the property that we had purchased. If you try to go into the countryside and find something like that these days, what you mostly find is places that are half falling down, like this one. Well, late one afternoon, we came across this place, and it looked as if it were falling down too. But to my surprise, when we went inside, the floorboards in the house were in almost perfect condition, wonderful thick teak wood, and better still, we met the village headman, who turned out to be a master carpenter. So down came the house, and a truckload of hardwood components made a wondrous appearance before the modernist folk of our neighborhood on Ekamai Road. You know, there's a temptation to try to sketch things from the big perspective, but I've always thought that the details are important. You try to find something that you really enjoy doing, and then you make a couple of little sketches about the way it might be and how you might fit it in the house. And that's the way I did it. You know, it's funny, the things you learn about yourself, even when you get a bit older. Turns out that I'm the dreamer, I'm the idea man, and the money man. I'm the guy who goes to the bank. But the person who really runs things is Nim. She's the foreman, she's the payroll master. She's out there dealing with the guys every day. One thing you have to remember, there are spirits in this place. They've been there a long time, and they sort of own it. So when you put up the house, you've got to do a ceremony. You've got to ask their permission. It's okay. Tell them that you're happy to have them there.